Jason Klom here. Before we get started, my buddy Dan is raising money for his cat, Skeeter, who is sick with FIP. The treatment is going well, but it's experimental and therefore very expensive. So if you go to linktr.ee/dgomi, that's linktr.ee/dgomi, the top link will take you where to donate. Thanks so much and enjoy the show. I'm Jason Klom, and this is Comedy on Vinyl. The artist Walt Kelly, my guest this week, is Adam Koford, a.k.a. Ape Lad. Thank you for being here.
You are welcome. Took us a while.
It took us a little while. If people don't know your work, they should know your work. The Laugh Out Loud Cats, etc. That's the thing I know the most. But you've done so many damn things. Do you want to tell them about your work for a minute?
Sure. By day I work in video games, but by night I freelance. I do a lot of cartooning. I've got a semi-hibernating webcomic called The Laugh Out Loud Cats that lives on in email, MailChimp form for now. I've also got a new-ish comic strip. I guess it's coming up on 2 years called Haircut Practice that's on gocomics.com. And then I've got all sorts of other little fires burning all the time. I do posters, album covers, coloring books, greeting cards, T-shirts, whatever. Whatever keeps me busy.
It should be pointed out that the thing that I first found of yours was the Laugh Out Loud Cats, which is hard to explain because it is a cartoon based off of very early memery, if that's a word, but it does include lolcat or lolcat pigeon language, which is appropriate for what you've picked today, considering the amount of language Walt Kelly plays with in Pogo.
Oh my goodness. It's unmatched what he does to the English language on this album.
When did you know that this album existed? Is this something you owned as a kid? Is this something you knew about as a kid?
I think I had a neighbor who owned it because as I started listening to it again, a couple of the lines came back to me and some of the tunes came back to me for sure. We never had it. We did have kind of an extensive record collection, but not as much kid stuff. Although we had a few Disney things, but never this one.
Sure.
His work I first became familiar with as I would visit libraries as a kid, and they always had Pogo collections. So, yeah. And any cartoonist who wants to learn to draw will run across Walt Kelly sooner or later.
Of course. He similarly has also worked for the Disney Corporation, which has been at least part of your career, working for the company anyway, in some capacity, right?
He started out as, I believe, a storyboard artist, then he became an assistant and probably a cleanup or in-between animator, and then he moved on to comics. And then he birthed Pogo, I guess, in comic book form first, and then it became a daily strip for dozens of years and became kind of a household name, spawned all sorts of memes and the whole "we have met the enemy and he is us" idea came through Pogo.
He's very political, at least subtly, although it didn't sound very subtle. But he did it through his characters, as you do.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s were my formative years, and those were the times of comic strips like Ziggy and Garfield, where there was a gag a day and the characters were just sort of the same over the course of the years. With something like Pogo, that was an era where millions of people read to follow some sort of story arc that was going on. So it asked you to pay attention not only to the language but to the characterization and the thread, like where things were going. And that's something that just doesn't happen much anymore in comic strips.
Yeah. Because it's probably considered less repeatable in terms of publishing. I'm guessing. I'm sure money wise, they're like, we don't want people. They want to pick it up, pick up the comic right from where it is, and they'll be fine and not uncomfortable in any way.
Yeah, and when it comes to a comic strip, there's really not the same sort of platform for them.
Right.
People aren't getting a newspaper every morning on their doorstep. You can't expect millions of people to be familiar with the comic strip anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. How much do you think you've read of Pogo?
Oh, more. Oh boy. Not a huge percent.
Hmm.
It's one that I would pick up off and on. It was never one that I would really sit down and just pour. I mean, I would pour over the art, but not
Hmm.
necessarily reading through the story arcs. I'm familiar with the characters, although it has been a few years.
Hmm.
Fantagraphics has been publishing those complete collections,
Oh
which
yeah.
I've picked up here and there, and they're amazing.
Hmm.
But as far as like I'm not like verse. I don't know like chapter and verse of, all the different storylines and
Sure.
different drums he was beating as he went.
This is the first time we've talked about the record on the podcast, but it's not the first time somebody's picked it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember what made it so we couldn't talk about it or just didn't talk about it. But my uncle-in-law, who's the reason I even have this MP3 of it that I could listen to, he owned it growing up. He and my late father-in-law listened to that as kids, and yeah. So you were the second person ever to pick it, and for him it was because he literally was alive when it was a thing, and
Yeah.
for you, tail end really. You saw it at the library. Do you Can you peg one thing about the art, anything in particular about the art that drew you in, or is it just a general? It looked great.
I mean, Walt Kelly's art, I think, is, one of the top five comic strip artists of all time. Just
Hmm.
the appeal and just the characterizations are so charming and so appealing in a way that just seems so natural to him. And I guess it makes sense with his background in animation and the workhorse that he was. But
Hmm.
really, it was the art and the specificity of the place. Like so much care and love went into those characters and the backgrounds and the world he created that, it's just I couldn't help but be absorbed by it.
I was looking at a couple images. They weren't great quality because they were on eBay, but from the book that this album comes from,
Hmm.
of the same name. But there were just a couple drawings in there, and I've rarely ever seen something that's seen a cartoon of that style seemed to be moving, and I make no exaggeration. I just looked at it, and it was the most dynamic cartoon of a dog playing a banjo I've ever seen in my life. It
Yeah,
looked so, again, dynamic is all I can think of. It's
yeah.
insane.
He's pretty incredible. It is his baby, but at the time Pogo was at its pinnacle, he had a studio. A
Hmm.
lot of comic strips then would have assistants.
Sure.
I'm not sure how much of his own lettering he did. He has a letterer that did all of his gorgeous titles and all of that stuff throughout the history of the comic. He also had several assistants, including some in his family. So
Hmm.
it became sort of this workshop
Yeah.
that carried on the brand. They tried to revive it after he had passed away, and it
Hmm.
it ran for a few years. But I think he was the heart of what made Pogo what it is.
Hmm. Do you? Is this a record you listen to with your neighbor? Is this something you borrowed? What's your history with it?
There were probably a couple of songs. Listening to it again, it's it's weird that it's a kid's album.
Uh huh. Uh
It's
huh.
so like dense with wordplay.
Yeah.
One of the times I listened through it, I thought, well, which part of this is for kids? And I know it wasn't really, you look at a comic strip like Pogo and you think, oh, this is for children. But
Hmm.
honestly, it was for him. He wasn't
Hmm.
writing necessarily for an audience. He had the stories he wanted to tell and the messages he wanted to get out through the subtext or whatever.
Hmm.
And I think it's the same with this. Like he had some songs he wrote and he wanted to get them out into the world. He wanted to polish them up and see how they stood up. And the result is what was marketed as a kids album, but really it's its own weird thing
Yeah.
that's so different than other kids albums.
I think that's one of the my brain fried because I accidentally turned off my fucking video. I was trying to make a note, cut out the fact that your idiot watch just went off, Jason. Let's see. Let me make a note of that. Yep, you're right. Everything you said is correct, and now my brain is gone. Could you repeat
Had
the
you
last thing you said? I'm so
had you
sorry.
ever listened to it before?
No, no. And I was supposed to have because again, my uncle Dick sent it along so that I could listen to it and enjoy it. And no, not until today.
Yeah, it's so strange that I guess it's seen as a kids album. One of the things as I started to listen to it again and
Hmm.
sort of peck around online to see what was thought of it.
Mhm.
They Might Be Giants came up pretty quickly because they covered one of the songs on an early Dyla song.
Oh,
They
did they?
covered
Shit.
they covered Lines Upon a Tranquil Brow, the last song.
Oh, wow.
So, and thinking about that and thinking about all the wordplay and all the twists and turns and puns that, I can see
Mm-hmm.
that being an influence on them.
Yeah. This has more alliteration than any album I've ever heard. I should point that out. Rather than sticking, like, sure, rhymes, they're well-built songs, but I've never heard somebody commit so much to alliteration in my life.
Yeah.
It's to the point,
Puns,
yeah, puns, yeah,
spoonerisms.
for sure, tons of those. Is it in the? It doesn't feel like it's in what seems to be the established sort of like language or dialect of Pogo, though. It doesn't seem to have that same thing. It just seems to be a crazy thing that lives within the world. Maybe it's a record he would have heard. I don't know what the premise of the record was supposed to be beyond that.
I mean, I was looking for that too. And it's not even in the voice of the characters. The first song is, I guess it could be said that it's about Pogo, but it's really like almost like a campaign march. This really bombastic thing that,
Sure.
it mentions Pogo, but at one point it's almost like you just keep saying Pogo because it rhymes with so many of these
Yeah.
places you're listing. This isn't about Pogo.
Right.
And from there, it's like all bets are off. There's nothing about any of the characters in the strip on the rest of this.
There's something about that I appreciate. Again, if this was equally like, again, I'd love to know if the book was in any way a thing of passion, something he just tossed off for fun, a mix of the two, because then, as you say, the whole making the comic for yourself, making the art for yourself, which can be hard for some people to do. And for some of us, you don't have a choice because no one's listening. But it is one of those things that I kind of really respect if indeed it was just like, no, I'm just going to make a book. Then I'm going to make a record. I don't know if it's going to make sense to anybody, and I don't care.
Yeah. It's, I mean, did his name have enough currency for them to say, sure, go ahead and record all these songs. We'll let you sing them, which is another weird thing. His voice is throughout this.
Yeah.
And he's, for what the songs are, it's interesting to hear how his voice changes throughout it. I wouldn't necessarily call him a singer, but he carries the tunes of these things he's written.
Yeah.
But for them to then say, yeah, let's make an album of these and market it and produce it and market it and sell it.
Yeah.
And we'll have Pogo on the front, but that's all we expect of you. And then you'll make this book, which has the characters in it, but really there's not much content related to the strip.
No, there's like straight up actual sheet music in it from what I saw. The art's great.
Yeah.
I need to pull it up. I meant to have it pulled up before this, but if I pull up his Discogs page earlier, the one thing that I didn't, and maybe I missed it on his Wikipedia, but this is not his first foray into musical entertainment on vinyl. The first stuff he did was, well, here's the problem. There's no years listed, so there's no telling when these were actually created. This is my guess is this was, before Disney or in between, things or concurrent with something else. But there are a bunch of, let's see, like Little Red Riding Hood, a bunch of fairy tales. It was the Storybook Record Company, and they have illustrations on the records that may well be his. I'm not sure. They're very Disney influenced. If he did draw them, like the Three Little Pigs looks a lot like the Disney Three Little Pigs. So that was his seemingly his first, if he did them before. And
So he left Disney in, I think, 31.
Oh, okay.
Pretty early, and he went into publishing. So they probably, he had the style down. So
based on this art style, this is 30s. So I'm guessing that's when he did these.
Yeah. As far as like writing songs, I know writing poems and lyrics were always a part of the strip. And he would, they'd print those collections that would then go on to sell really well, and those would include like additional material like songs in them as well. So I guess that's where this comes from. That started to pile up, and they, they got the idea. Well, why don't we go ahead and start recording these? And it's
Yeah.
just such a like. Can you imagine Jim Davis doing this?
I have the equivalent, and it's terrible. It's Here Comes Garfield, and it's really not good except for Lou Rawls. Like that's the only good part of Here Comes Garfield.
So okay, I
Yeah.
guess Walt Kelly was the pioneer of
Yeah.
this idea.
Yeah, but can you imagine Jim Davis? Here's the thing. Can you imagine Jim Davis doing anything beyond sometimes drawing his own comic strip? Really, I can't. I mean, that's about it. He's admitted it. He's admitted he knows he's a shill.
Sure.
He's fully admitted that's what he is. But I don't know if I respect that or what. But it's at least I know better. At least I know he's admitted.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, I think Walt Kelly was that same, Dennis the Menace, all these guys, they got this huge amount of popularity that just doesn't happen from a comic strip anymore. And so they said, okay, I'm going to have other people work on this for me so I can go golf and enjoy life for a while. So I can go record an album of all these
Kind of adult
marching
songs.
tunes. Yeah.
That pose as children's songs, maybe. Like I
Yeah.
mean, one of the songs even has the punchline to the two main verse. I know nothing about music, so I'm not using the right words. The punchline is something whistling at the girls walking by, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well that's very adult.
We're off to the drugstore to whistle at girls.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the one They Might Be Giants covered. And that's the
Okay.
line that ends the song. It's like, okay, this party's over. I'm off to the drugstore.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly strange. So I mean, the first thing too is I was listening to it, I'm like, well, this is going to be a kids record again, was my assumption. And then moving into it, I'm like, okay, maybe less of a kids record, but like, is this like I've been thinking about it as comedy the whole time? Like, is it comedy? But the more I dug into it, I think just the level to which he messes with language qualifies it as comedy, because you don't listen to this for any serious purpose. You're not going to sit here and just
Right.
contemplate it like you would a Bach something or other,
Right.
says the man
Yeah.
who's talking about music.
It is tonally. I mean, I don't know that anyone like breaks down laughing at anything here, but there is a lot of stuff that's really clever. There's
Yeah.
really clever wordplay, and there are some people who just hate and loathe puns and
Sure.
spoonerisms and all that stuff. So it's definitely not for everyone.
Right.
There are a few songs I think that are absolutely for kids that I can see kids enjoying. But as far as me as a child sitting down and listening to this, first of all, it's pretty long. There's like 18 songs. I don't know that I ever would have sat from beginning to end, because it would have just bewildered me. Like, what is this? What are these? What are they saying? And how do I interpret this?
Yeah. They are really quick. That was the one thing. It was like, oh, there's a lot of them, but they're very, very fast. They're in and out. They're like poems. They're just very quick takes on whatever idea he was. I'm still not even sure what any of them were about. I need to pull up the track list because I think I'm going to end up lost otherwise.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
A lot of them are just repeated stanzas. It'll be the lyric and then a musical bridge and then boom, again, the same thing. The only a couple of them seem like they're fully fleshed out songs. So
They very much feel, for lack of any other sense of comparison, like something a Dr. Seuss might write. Just with, maybe not less made up language, probably more. But again, doesn't sound anything like the language of the swamp.
yeah.
What was your initial? Was it because this is something you grew up with, or was it because you love Pogo? What's the reason that drew you to picking this week?
Well, I love Walt Kelly, and you asked how much I've read, and it seems like, I mean, I'm really familiar with his work, but it almost still feels like a blind spot to me because I haven't ever really dug in. So
Yeah.
to me, this was kind of like, I want to figure out what he's all about and what's there. If he is as brilliant and as influential as everyone says, and I think it's undeniable that his art style is. You still see bits and pieces of that Disney charm that he sort of turned into his own thing
Yeah.
all over the place. But as far as like wordplay, I don't know that is as influential, but it is still pretty ingenious in most places.
Yeah, there's this. It's so heavily influenced by, again, you couldn't not be, if you're going to draw Disney stuff all day, every day for years on years and years. I don't know how easy it would be to come up with your own basic style even. Like, you're going to start with
Yeah.
the same shapes. You're going to start with the same kind of rough, like,
Hmm.
he looks like Mickey Mouse without a nose and with hair and without giant ears. It's
Yeah.
undeniable that there's a shape there that you're going to
Hmm.
default to. And it's fine. But it does border on at least giving you the potential for satire. I don't know if he ever played with that. I don't know if he ever bothered to make fun of Walt Disney. I don't know if that was ever a thing he did, but that potential was there and it's recognizable. That's another thing. I feel like if you looked at this, you might assume it was a Disney thing. If you
Oh
were,
yeah. Yeah,
you didn't know any better, especially
for
back
sure.
then.
There were a few attempts at making animated Pogo specials.
Yes.
He did one towards the end of his life because he had had a bad experience with Chuck Jones.
Oh yeah.
Chuck Jones worked on one and sort of turned it into this kind of cloying soup or saccharine thing that was not fitting for what Pogo was, but it was what Chuck Jones wanted, and he sort of, used his name to get what he wanted, and nobody was happy. I think they I don't know that they came to blows, but I don't think they were fans of each other after that experience. So towards the end of his life, Walt Kelly started to animate his own version of a story, and I think it does lend itself to animation. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't someday an attempt. With the way every IP gets revived nowadays, maybe someone out there is already working on a
Sure.
Pogo short or something.
That would be amazing. Yeah, because I saw a bit. They're both the two that I know of are on YouTube, which is the one you were just mentioning, which has June Foray as the voice of Pogo, and then a bunch of other recognizable voice actors. And the second one is a claymation one that they did, or that is
Yeah,
to say a stop motion. I shouldn't say claymation; that's a trademark. But a stop motion one from much later, way after his death.
yeah, and it's a bit slow. I mean, it's you can see what they were trying to do,
Yeah. I don't hate the
but
voice work in it. I feel like June Foray, I love her, but she's a weird choice for Pogo. I don't hate
yeah,
the voice work in the stop motion one, but yeah, it's a little on this. It's like an hour and a half too. Like I don't think that
yeah,
something like that. I don't think any of that needs to be an hour and a half long. Nothing that started
no,
as a comic strip probably needs to. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I'm exaggerating. It's just like they're meant to be taken in bites, even if it's a long extended story.
yeah. I think that's why the Peanuts specials work so well. Is you can still feel like a comic strip over 25 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Do you, as a cartoonist yourself, do you like the open-endedness of continuing to draw these continuing adventures that don't necessarily have to go to a specific place, or is there any freedom in that?
Yes, I so much of modern storytelling is based on it has to fit in this structure, it has to have these beats, you have to have this hero's journey. With a comic strip, especially with the Laugh Out Loud cats, I played with this a lot of just letting the story tell itself, not knowing ahead of time where it goes. Just start with once in a while I would send them to a fairy tale land or shrink them down or send them wherever and just see what happened over the course of 100 comics,
Yeah.
and just find the gags if I could over the course of that experience and just let it be what it had to be. That doesn't happen very much in most other storytelling media.
Yeah.
Not in video games, not in movies, not in TV shows. Everything's got to have an arc.
Right.
Everything's got to have closure and this payoff and these beats, and there are storytelling forms that you don't have to do that in. There are
Sure.
picaresque stories, for example, where it's just the experiences. There is some growth and some change. If you look at something like, have you ever seen Barry Lyndon,
I have not.
Martin Scorsese's movie? It's just the story, a rake's progress. What happens to him over the course of him making bad mistakes? You don't follow that for the plot or for the hero's journey. It's a
Sure.
different structure that is just not around anymore. So,
I mean, we could sit here and pontificate up our own butts all day, but do you think is it an impatience thing? Is it a glut of content? I hate that word, but is it a glut of stuff? What do we think? You have any thoughts?
I think so. There is a lot of content out there, and there are so many expectations coming from audiences. Like they want there's a lot of expertise that might not be earned when someone, experiences a story and they think they know what it should have been or it could have been or it needed to become without really having any part of the creative process. And I think the voice of the creator should outweigh whatever expectation. If you want something novel and unique and new, that's where the change has to come, is from the creator saying, this is what I want this story to be, and here's what it's going to do. It'll upset people. Not everyone's going to love it, but that's okay. You don't have to win everyone over with your stories.
Yeah. With the Laugh Out Loud Cats, you start from this weird shared language that a bunch of nerds had. Some imagery. It helped if you had the shared knowledge of who John Hodgman was in bits and pieces here and there, of course.
Sure.
But you still got to do it for yourself, right? I mean, it's still that's still that, right?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, and I've sort of taken a break. Earlier this year, I started sending them out weekly via email. It started as a thing where they were direct commissions from people. Like, if you want me to draw a picture, give me $20 and I'll send you an original drawing. And that sort of built into, picked up steam pretty quickly till I had a few hundred, and it became this ongoing comic strip.
Yeah.
So it started becoming, 6 days a week over the course of 11 years, where it got to the point where I was like, this is probably enough. I did a few collections of books. I had one published by Abrams, and then I published my own, and then sort of just figured out what I wanted to do with it. I knew it wasn't going to be, a multi-decade grind of every single day, because that's no way to live, and there's not the you can't make a living doing that anymore.
Right.
So at the heart of all that, I didn't have anyone telling me where it had to go. I would have fans say, hey, why don't you do something Doctor Who related or whatever, and that was always fun and fine. But as far as following a structure or someone saying we have to meet this audience expectation, it was never that. It was always just what I wanted to do and where I wanted to take them and what corners of this weird little world I made that I wanted to explore. So.
Yeah. I love the purity of it as a person who, makes shit myself and doesn't make any money off it. I can relate to that part too. Again, you sort of have to make it for yourself. The other bonus is you don't have to deal with, obviously, people overuse the word censorship nowadays, but Walt Kelly legitimately had attempts at real censorship a few times.
Sure.
He had these characters based off of Joseph McCarthy, who he then just put a fucking bag over his head, which
eyebrows and all.
Which he then was like, yeah, it kind of looks like a Klan hood too, so I'm happy with it. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a thing that would get some. Well, you would get fired, I guess. Most people would. I'm not sure how he got away with it. I can appreciate that. But you don't have to deal with that, I guess, making your own thing, making it.
Yeah, the internet of even 10 years ago was so different than it is today. You could do things under the auspice of, well, this is from me, and whatever attention I get is great. I'm happy to share what I'm doing. Nowadays, it's all... And, not to fault anyone, this is how things get made. But nowadays, everything, it seems like, is subscription-based.
Yeah.
Like, if you want access to this, it's going to be $6 a month or whatever. And,
yeah.
If that's what needs to happen nowadays in order for creative people to do what they need to do, then that's fine. It's just, it's a lot harder to do things for free and just set them out there and get any sort of attention.
Yeah.
Plus, the internet is so big now. Literally everyone on Earth has, maybe not literally, but so many more people have access to quick internet speeds and can just see whatever content they want whenever they need it. And finding a wedge in there is, I don't know how people do it. I guess TikTok.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm the only idiot who doesn't have any proper subscription-based stuff. I have a Patreon that I barely do anything with, and some people are still kindly putting a couple bucks in every month, and it's yeah, I'm still not good at it. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me, which is crazy. It should by now, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
old.
have anything like that either, and it always sort of feels like a job to me.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
now I'm working for everyone, and I'd rather share what I do when I do it and
Hmm.
let people enjoy it than, do it under the expectation of, okay, now to pump out more content because
Right.
there's enough of that
Yeah.
now.
Well, hire an assistant. They can draw everything for you. We've established what the dream is. So,
Yeah, but
just
then I
set
gotta
that up.
pay him.
That's true. You then have to pay them. You have to charge a
Then you
lot
get into
more.
you get into all the tax difficulties and all that. So,
Have you? I don't recall. My apologies, because you've done how many now? How many strips now officially? How many now?
well, when I hit 3,000 is kind of when I just sort of I just sort of sold a few more and then
Mm-hmm.
sort of went to email and posted them every now and then.
So
So
3,000 plus.
yeah.
Have you ever included any of your own attempts at or parts of songs in any of them?
So that is a deficiency I have. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been jealous of cartoonists who have a musical ear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play any instruments. I don't. I guess I could carry a tune if I had to. If I
Mm-hmm.
was part of a larger singing group, I'd be fine. But like when it comes to the foundational animators like Fritz Freeling and Walt Kelly and so many others, they had a musical ear. They knew music. They knew how to write music. They knew how to perform it.
Mm-hmm.
They had that timing, and that's just not been something that I've trained myself in.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
I
Mm-hmm.
have done things like limericks and short little pieces, but as far as something where I told myself, yeah, this is a song, no, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't.
Okay. So you would have what would have to happen is to make a Laugh Out Loud Cats album is you would have to put together some stuff, and
Hmm.
then have They Might Be Giants finish it off for you. It
And
sounds
I'd
like
have, or I could just sing it like Walt Kelly
that'd be
did.
great too. I mean, I would also listen to that gladly. I'd buy it. I mean, I
Sure.
think this is established. As long as it's released on vinyl, then I can
Okay.
bring it up on here. That'd be fine. Um, is have you ever had a temptation to do anything? I don't want to say beyond, because Laugh Out Loud Cats is what it is, and it is perfect as it is. It is good enough as it is. But has there been a temptation to turn it into something else? Has that ever? I mean, somebody must have contacted you and said, "Hey, I bet I can get this made as a cartoon."
Yeah, there have been attempts along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that really went too far,
Damn
but
it.
there was interest, especially 3 or 4 years in when it,
Mm-hmm.
sort of had its own legs and people were paying attention and it would show up in places. But I don't know. I don't know that it would, as far as like making something for a general audience,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to become something a little different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, I guess it could work, but I don't really pursue ideas like that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's t-shirts. So does that count as a different?
You know what? It is its own thing. It is
Yeah,
absolutely its own thing.
maybe a mug or two.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Those are
Although,
media.
good God, I'm now thinking I would play a video game of them. Now that I'm thinking of it out loud, because my first
Yeah.
thought was Cuphead, but that's now becoming a cartoon. But then I was then thinking, sure, I would absolutely. I don't play video games, but if it was a
Okay.
meandering no story video game,
Sure. Like
complete
a
sandbox.
2D side scroller.
Yep, and then
You're,
maybe nothing
but
happens.
it could be.
You
You
know,
just find stuff and
they're
you just
hobo cats.
yeah,
What needs to technically happen? Not much.
nothing. They
Maybe.
need well, maybe there would be like they would have to nap every few
Sure.
hours
Sure.
and eat, find some food.
Mm-hmm. The occasional threat of jail, maybe. And then,
Yeah.
again, I love that. No, this is a good game. This is a good video game. If somebody out there wants to program it, Adam's open to suggestions. I'm putting words in your mouth.
It's a conflict of interest with my day job, so
Yeah, that's
there'd be some
true.
wrangling
That's
that would have to
fair.
happen first.
I understand that. Do you, off of this album, is there a particular favorite? Is there something that has grown on you since being a child?
Well, the first song, what is it called? It's called
There's Go Go Pogo.
yeah,
Yeah.
that rollicking sort of opening stanza was caught myself humming that all day today
Mm-hmm.
in the morning. And I don't know that that's even as far as wordplay goes, I think that might be one of the densest songs.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that I love that song. There is there's a song, what is it called? Hold on, let me pull it up.
Sure.
I think he must have written it for one of his kids. It's
Mhm.
called Uh, something about turning two. Do you
Oh,
remember that one?
I'm looking at the list now, but the list doesn't have the lyrics, so it's not going to help me.
Oh, actually, I have the lyrics. Someone
Uh huh.
in the early days of blogging
Hmm.
transposed all
Oh my
the
God.
lyrics.
Okay.
Let me scroll down. A couple of the songs are really quite sweet. One or
Mm-hmm.
two of them
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of something that nowadays someone like Joanna Newsom would sing
Mm-hmm.
with the right instrumentation as far as like the density and maybe the charm of them and the
Yeah.
uniqueness. Let's see. What is it called? There's one about turning two. Oh, many hairy returns.
Oh
Once you were
yeah. Okay.
two, dear birthday friend, in spite of purple weather, but now you are three and near the end as we grew some together. Even that has wordplay. As we grew some together, as we grew some together. It seems like, as a parent, it seems like a sweet little song he must have written for one of his kids
Mm-hmm.
that ended up here. Nothing to do with Pogo again, but
Sure.
it's got, some fun wordplay. How forthful thou, forsooth for you, for soon you will be more. But for apostrophe FORE, one can be three, be two, be five, be four. It sounds like not. I mean, it is nonsense when you
Sure.
read it like that, but
Mm-hmm.
in context, it's pretty charming. And then he's got that weird. There's one called "Don't Sugar Me" that
Yeah.
it comes on all of a sudden. It's like, did I just come into a burlesque show?
Uh-huh.
Like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
that it's a kiss off song.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty surprised by that. Where did this come
Yeah,
from?
a little bit of
Oh,
sexy trombone or whatever the hell's playing in the back. I don't remember what it was, but a little
yeah.
kind of almost, yeah, it's a little sexy music. That's what it is.
I won't sip a lip with you less. You want a granulated lump or two. Just roll them eyes right out that door. Them saucer eyes ain't square no more. What did I just hear?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting how the songs will go from like super boisterous
Mm-hmm.
to that sort of saccharine, not saccharine, but like sweet and orchestral.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who the woman who sings on this. It's not Walt Kelly, but whoever is singing, she's the other vocalist on this
Let me
that
see if I can
that
pull it
does
up.
the more
There is
like
a
that torch song.
name of Fia Karen, Fia Karen, Karin, and I've literally never heard this name before.
Yeah, I wonder.
She's got a very long discography from what I can see, and she's just sung a ton of shit. That's all I know about her. Yeah, ton of albums too. But that's her name,
Huh.
Fia
I wonder if
Karen.
she was a studio vocalist of some sort, like a.
Right,
Hmm.
right. Sang a lot in French, from what I can see. There's going to be somebody out there who's an expert. That's what happens every time. Somebody
Uh-huh.
will kindly come back and be like, "Oh yeah. No, you don't know her. She's this and this." It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There's always an expert, and I kind of love that.
Oh, when you get to comic strips and animation, there still, luckily, are a lot of those experts, and some of the people who are even there. Like you may get someone chiming in, "Oh, I worked on that Pogo stop motion from
Yeah,
'78
yeah,
or whatever."
yeah. That'd be
How dare
amazing.
you say those things about my work? There's that Northern Lights song I liked a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
A roar for Nora, Nora Alice in the night, for she has seen Aurora Borealis burning bright.
Mm-hmm.
A furor for our Nora and applaud Aurora seen, where throughout the summer has our Borealis been. And that's the song. And then they
It's
repeat it.
I'm realizing as you're reading them, like the sides of my mouth are turning up. I'm smiling at them. I might not be guffawing, but I'm
Yeah,
smiling at them because they are at the very least clever. At the very least clever.
sure. Yeah. I think a lot of them, as he was writing them, he just found pleasure in the way the words rolled off the tongue or rolled around in his head,
Yeah.
and I think that still happens a lot with me or with anyone who writes. My job primarily right now in games is writing,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you find a phrase and it just kicks around in your head for a while and you've got to do something with it because it's so
Yeah.
it feels like you've made this weird connection with words that is new or charming or unique, and you want to play with it.
Yeah.
And that seems like that's what this whole album is.
Yeah. I love very much that your job is it primarily writing dialogue then for these games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love so much that then you're the thing that you do sometimes in your free time to entertain people like me is the like. It's the least dialogue heavy shit that you could possibly write. None of it's in proper English, and I love that.
Sure.
That's adorable. That's a fun way to
Yeah,
maybe exercise something.
I'll never forget that time at a Comic-Con when I was selling one of my first books at a table. A woman picked it up and started reading and was a bit offended at all the misspellings and pidgin English. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine. You don't have to get it.
Sure.
I mean, you don't have to get the book and you don't have to get the idea. But
Right.
someone does, thank goodness. And if no one else does, at least I do. And
I'd like to quickly talk about we're talking a lot about Pogo's impact on yourself, on the world of just animation, cartooning, the entertainment world, maybe in general. The one thing that I read that was maybe the most insane thing about just the character's impact was there's a whole storyline in the comics about him being forced to run for president. And there were buttons that said "I go Pogo" that were kind of supposed to be like "I like Ike," and there was a riot at Harvard called the Pogo Riot
oh, really?
because of this. And I can't tell if this was a bunch of ironic nerds that it eventually turned into a big fight,
Well,
but it was called the Pogo Riot. And
That's amazing.
yeah,
I think part of that story might be, I don't know when that was, but I think that might be part of what inspired the first song. Because the first song, Go Go Pogo, sounds very much like a politician on a campaign trail. Like the bombastic, boisterous march and the listing. I mean, it's probably one of the longest songs lyrically, but it's just listing these Oswego to Frisco, go to Fargo, Okefenokee, playing a possum on a pogo. Like, I think that's all. It just goes on to list Shamokin to Hoboken, Chicango to Shenango to Chicango. Like, that must be like that. I think that must be the campaign aspect of pogo. And I think he had a book collection called I Go Pogo, but I didn't know of that wider
he did. Yeah,
cultural impact.
He had that. I spent a little bit of time on eBay finding stuff that you don't necessarily find listed elsewhere, but that was definitely part of it. A lot of these like side book projects that maybe he wasn't involved with, maybe he was.
Yeah.
I'd like to know. Like, I'd be curious. Do you have a better? You said you listened to it to maybe kind of try and figure out a little bit more of who he was. Do you have a better mental picture of who Walt Kelly was?
I mean, it sounded like he liked to have a good time, and it sounded like he would get a bug to do something that was fun or interesting to him and saw it through.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have a million ideas like that where I think, I wonder if I could develop this such and such into an idea, and whether or not I follow through with it depends on circumstances. But he somehow, even though he's a cartoonist with a daily newspaper strip, used his free time to say, you know what, I'm going to put these songs down and I'm going to go into that recording booth. We're going to get my friend to do some orchestrations. We're going to record it. We're going to print it. We're going to market it. So you have to appreciate that. I don't know whether it's gumption or dedication to such a strange idea.
Because it's only, I don't want to say only, 8 years is not nothing. 8 years into the life of the strip that this comes out. And I don't know what level of popularity it was at. So it's hard to tell if this is a thing. It's obviously not a self-funded thing, but I do wonder what's the impetus for this very strange idea. I love it. I like that it exists.
I don't know that he was a household name,
Yeah.
but I think he was famous enough to justify this risk of, producing this. It's weird, the idea of fame today versus what it must have been like 60, 70 years ago.
Yes.
Because even explaining to my kids how big of a star Michael Jackson was back in our day is something that's a little novel to them.
Sure.
Because someone who is just across all boards popular in the United States and beyond just doesn't quite happen on that scale anymore.
No.
And this is the era when TV wasn't quite coming into its own.
Sure.
There were famous movie stars and movies, but there was still a lot of reading that happened
Hmm.
in American popular culture, and that included comic strips and,
Yeah,
you know, magazine articles and whatever printed ephemera were out there. That just doesn't happen as much anymore.
that's fair. I'm trying to look. I will point out there was a point where this record. I feel like when my uncle got it, maybe he got a mint copy because it was like just an
Nice.
assload of money. But you can get it relatively cheaply, and I'm now tempted because I do love the cover very much. I love the
Sure.
cover.
Pink is so underused nowadays.
Agreed. Is it like this picture? Is it salmon pink? It's kind of like a salmon color, the one I'm seeing.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if
Yeah.
this is. Oh, and it came with lyrics. Shit.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yep. That's right. Because the one my uncle has has the lyrics as well, which I'm sure it's worth a lot more money that way. You mentioned the orchestration earlier, which I feel like I should point out. It's a really, really, really well put together record. It sounds beautiful. It sounds like any other kind of like. In some spots, especially the ones with that woman singing those very pretty drifty songs, sounds like any other kind of dinner record maybe that would have come out at the time. And then obviously the rest of it's batshit. But it's very well put together. It's beautiful sounding.
That's the thing that I mean, I think that's what surprised me as I listened to it again and again, is like a lot of love and work went into this
Yeah.
in a way that would not happen anymore. Imagine a cartoonist coming to someone and saying, "I've got these songs I wrote. I'm going to sing them." First of all, I'm not known as a singer, but I'm going to sing them. There's going to be orchestration.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
First, you're now realizing I was going to make a joke and then realized I can't, and this is terrible of me, I can't name a cartoonist except for yourself. And again, Jim Davis, because he's come up 10 times in this conversation.
Scott Adams.
Sure.
Scott Adams has
Yeah.
got
Oh, God.
album under his
Oh,
belt.
Christ. Oh, no. Oh, that is not
And
a
he's
record.
going to sing it.
Yeah, he would. He would. He would be shirtless on the cover. There's no doubt about it. Shirtless on the cover with the Dilbert tie sticking up, though. He would
Sure.
wear the Dilbert tie. Okay,
Yeah.
now I almost want to see it happen.
Sure. That's the, yeah. Although I guess we have something similar with, what's his name? Family Guy.
Oh, sure,
Guy.
sure. I mean, yeah, that classically trained sort of. It's weird. He will do. He has done just about everything. I'm assuming he's released a Family Guy CD or two, maybe.
Probably.
But those are things directly lifted from the show, just like the Simpsons records, the Bob's Burgers records, which are friggin' brilliant. But again, they're from cartoons specifically, not from comic strips. It's because that's a leap. That's a huge leap from one media to the other.
Yeah.
Again, maybe out of frustration that it didn't become a comic. I don't know if he wanted it to become a cartoon. I mean, I can't. It's not obvious to me, but I'm looking at the back of it. There's little pieces of his art on the back. Not as much. There's Pogo conducting.
Yeah.
It's cute.
I mean, knowing what I do about the characters, I guess I'm pretty familiar with the different characters, but I don't know if these songs were meant to be tied to the strip in any other way than the first song. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like who is the twirl twirl song supposed to be? I just don't know. And Parsnoops.
Yeah, like
these are just wordplay. These are just him having fun.
the notes on the back do say this is from the fiction of the universe. The songs on this record mark the musical debut of America's foremost possum, which, by the way, I did not know he was a
there we
possum
go.
until today. There are 18 of them, suitable for as many occasions: birthdays, clandestine trysts, medical checkups, elevator rides, evenings at the public library, noons when the kettle boils over, music to pay last year's bills by, etc. The songs range in mood from the haunting Whence That Wince to the rousing Go-Go Pogo. And that just goes from there. But yeah, again, barely any kind of establishment of what I'm to expect from this.
First thing I'll say is what I know about Pogo through the lens of the strip is, why is he writing all these songs? There's such a variety of voices. Like, why did he write the brokenhearted song and the song for a 2-year-old? Who's that for?
Right.
if that's what I'm expected to believe.
Sure.
The other thing you list the list of where you would listen to this. One of the songs specifically to me sounded like a Disneyland dark ride.
Ooh, which one?
It was. Hold on, let me check my notes. I wrote it down as I heard. I thought, oh, that sounds a little like Pirates, almost.
Wait a minute.
It's the Parsnoops song. Some of the instrumentation in the middle of it, I thought. This
Okay,
is a
I think I
weird
know.
little
Yeah,
journey.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Let me see if it says. Oh, I mean, the lyrics don't necessarily support it, but the way it was orchestrated and the mood of it, the vibe of it, to me felt like I'm being shown something. Oh, the parsnips were snipping the snappers while the parsley was parceling the peas, and parsing a sentence from handle to hand was a hornet who hummed with the bees. The turnips were passing the time of the day in the night of the moon on the porch, when the shape from the shadows so shortfully shrift that the scallions were screeching the scorch.
How does anybody get that out? Like,
But
let
the
alone
way that
singing.
it's sung, it felt to me like, oh, there's a bunch of animatronic animals singing this to me as I sit in a little skiff boat and watch them do their thing.
Pogo would lend itself to that. Oh God forbid. There's a certain company that I won't name in this particular interview, but I mean, if they ever bought the IP to Pogo, I mean, he could replace a certain wet ride at a certain place that ends in land. I'm just saying. I know they've already replaced it.
That's happening already.
I know they're already doing that, and they've picked the right thing to do it by. With, however,
maybe they'll do it again in 50 years. Pogo will still be around.
It's true. Do you? I always ask people to recommend the record. It's going to be even harder because I'm normally like, you normally assume someone's going to recommend it and say, well, if you're not familiar with them from this, but I'm betting there's just an assload of people who have no idea who Walt Kelly is or what Pogo is.
I'm sure.
And it would be a weird way to get into what Pogo is, but do you want to recommend this one to people?
I think if you've got an hour and you're driving somewhere and you want to have a really strange experience, give it a try and see how it goes. I think there's if you've never experienced some of the more florid arrangements of the 50s, of 50s white popular culture, this will be completely foreign.
Yeah.
And then adding on top of that this raving guy spitting out these words that are just nonsensical. I think it'll be a bit much, but it would be an interesting endurance test for a lot of people. For kids, even more so. There are a couple of songs on here I think I can see a kid liking this, finding this really funny just because it's so weird. But putting a kid down in front of a record player with these 18 songs, I don't know. I don't know how that ever happened. I mean, I know I never did when I was a kid. I didn't survive that. So, yeah, give it a go.
It gave me this weird energy listening to it. I was like kind of excited. I was just like kind of bouncing around, and I don't normally do that. And I don't know what it was from. I don't know if it was rhythms. I don't know if it was all the alliteration. Again, more alliteration than any other record you've ever heard.
And then something comes along to undercut that. Like, oh, here's this really sweet song out of nowhere, and back to a march. Okay.
Let me pull this up. So, first of all, thank you for doing the show. That's number one.
My pleasure.
I've been looking forward to this for a very, very long time. As you know, I'm a massive fan and nerd of yours. Nerd of? That's not a thing.
Thank you.
Nerd for yours?
A stan.
A stan. Thank you very much. I'm too old to say that. But this episode, is that true? Did I move? Oh, I moved some things around. This is coming out next week. This is our main, possibly only episode next week. And as they go, they're going to start building up. What do you have to promote? Where can people find you?
I've taken a break from most social media, so they can just go to my portfolio site, which is just adamkoford.com. There's links to Laugh Out Loud Cats, which was at hobotopia.com. That's where you can read some of the older strips. There's also Haircut Practice on Go Comics, which is easy to find.
Yeah.
If you're in the mood for Charles Schultz's fever dream of peanuts. So yeah. Those would be the main ones. Good.
So how many books are there? How many Laugh Out Loud Cats books have you done?
I self-published the first one,
Yeah.
which was Meet the Laugh Out Loud Cats.
Yeah.
There was the Laugh Out Loud Cats Sellout, which was the
Mm-hmm.
Abrams book.
Mm-hmm.
There was Down with the Laugh Out Loud Cats,
Yeah.
which is another self-published. And then the latest one, what did I call it? I forgot what it was called. There's so many.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have it handy. There's a fourth one that shall remain nameless. I
Okay.
prefer not to think about it.
Sure. Understandable. I don't know. I don't know. I'm too agreeable. Well, you can't write laugh out loud books, you idiot. That's what I just wrote.
I know.
Why didn't I write cats is the question. And none of them, no, this is not helping me. Look, it's not your fault that the SEO is a little janky on those words.
That's one of those things I just never cared about is SEO.
Uh-huh. Yeah, same. This is maybe one of the reasons I have issues with people finding my shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one more for the road. That's
one more for the road. There you go.
That's the other one I have. I have two of them. I need to buy the other two, unless you Calvin and Hobbes style release a hardcover compendium, in which case I'll happily, just saying.
If there were a market, I would be all over that.
Sure, not the few people. There's always, by the way, anything with your level of like engagement and love for it. There's always, I know, that core few people who we were like, no, everybody would want this, and it's like. No, you guys are the core few. I know you would pay the money. Thank you very much, but it costs an assload to publish.
Yeah. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort for something to perform about what you'd expect it to perform.
Sure.
It's fine. In the meantime, I'll just keep doing things.
Yeah.
Creating, and sharing with people. That's fine. That's
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I thank you again for joining me. This has been a delight. And
thank you. I'm glad we finally did this. I've been listening to some past episodes and really enjoying what you've built here. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And it's getting me back into looking specifically for vinyl comedy albums.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with Smothers Brothers and
sure.
a certain other stand-up comic that was popular in the 70s and 80s and a few others, and George Carlin and Dr. Demento, so it's really reignited something in me that I really appreciate. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of StolenDress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klom. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. You can email us at podcast@comedyonvinyl.com. You can also send snail mail to StolenDress Entertainment, P.O. Box 805, Burbank, California, 91503. Subscribe to Comedy on Vinyl on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and write us a review. It helps. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Comedy on Vinyl, or find everything in one place at comedyonvinyl.com. A major portion of Comedy on Vinyl has been underwritten by Stand Up Records. Please visit standuprecords.com for all your comedy needs and tune in to the new Stand Up Records channel available on the Roku, where you can also find select episodes of this podcast. Visit StolenDress.com to listen to our other podcasts, watch videos, and imbibe freely of our multimedia content going back 15 plus years. StolenDress Entertainment.
Hey, it's my turn. Ah!